All right, so as we go through originally, we go through each of the zones and we check to see if there's any clogged heads, if we've got some really bad irrigation design that's going to need to be corrected, if we have some valves that are not working, and we make notation of that so we can let the homeowner know if there's a problem, major problem with the system. And then what we'll do is then we'll make a selection. We'll try to find the area we'd like to work in for our medium area, and then we'll try to find a valve and install our sensor from there.
So you're going to try to find, when you say your medium area, you're trying to find an area that's not too wet, not too dry, not too shady, not too sunny, just kind of
for the site, kind of the middle of the range for that particular site.
Because there's only going to be one soil moisture sensor installed.
One soil moisture sensor per system.
Okay.
At this point, we've determined the location that's going to be the best medium location for the site, and Jeremy's going to bury a soil moisture sensor. At this point, with this one here, what we're doing is we're having 3 inches of cover and we're inserting it into undisturbed soil, and then he will run that wire back to the nearest valve. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire the wall unit near the clock, and then we'll tie them together to check for wiring errors.
Like this, so we're gonna break the sample to six thumb in first, and just get our hose started.
And you see this, Chris, right here? You can see the roots for the grass?
Yeah.
So it's just below the root zone for the grass?
Yeah, you want to be 3 inches from where the soil starts.
I got it,
Not 3 inches from the top, but where the soil starts.
That's what it means, I'm putting the undisturbed soil. So you dig that spot, then you push that in again. Set a spot for it. And then just insert that in there.
Yeah. Cover back up.
What we're going to do with this sensor is we're going to wire it much like you would your rain sensor, in that we're going to interrupt our common, and we're going to take the valve that we have now wired our ground sensor into and run it through the clock, and then wire our clock wires into that valve wire. The brown and the blue are actually bypass wires that can be used to, if you have 1 or 2 zones that you do not want to have operate through the sensor, you can actually wire those and they will permanently be bypassed on the sensor.
But we're not doing that, right?
We're not doing that with any of ours at this point because we want everything to function through our sensor. Alright, once we've completed our wiring back to our valve from our sensor, then we go back and make sure that our circuits are complete at our wall unit and see that we have a reading, that we have no communication errors back to that, back to the wall unit and through the clock. And at that point, you need to come in and give a slight amount of water around your sensor to saturate it. Make sure that it is picking it up. You can go back there in your sensor and find out it also settles the dirt back from where it was prior. So we'll add a little bit of water. We'll add our soil back in. And then we're going to saturate our area around here where we inserted our sensor. And we'll go back now to the clock and see where we are with our readings. Now back at our clock, we're seeing that we're reading a 6.8% moisture reading, and we'll see if we've been able to pick up anything from our water, and we have, that we poured on there. It's already jumped to 12.5%. So that we know that our sensor we are getting good communication with our sensor. Next, what you want to do is go ahead and set your minimum threshold for when we want our clocks to kick back on. And with using historic data from 2 prior studies, we're going to go ahead and set this down at 11 for our threshold.
And the
When
higher,
this gets to 10.9, we will have it will energize the clock. When this gets down to 10.9, it'll energize the clock. Our light will come on that'll show the homeowner that the next time that the clock comes around, and we will set it to operate at 4 o'clock in the morning. At the next morning at 4 o'clock, they will get irrigation, an irrigation cycle, an irrigation event at their home.
now Steve,
Yes.
the higher the percentage, the more wet the soil is.
Correct. So the higher we set the number, our historic data, what we're starting to see is that we're using numbers right now between 10 and 12 to get us started here with historic data, and then what we're going to try to do is we'll monitor it and see if we can change that threshold, and we should be able to change that threshold down in the fall and the winter. And we want to make sure that you've gone and you've put your soil back, returned everything to where it was originally, not overpacked it and changed your density too much.